So this is a new small horror film from director Spenser Cohen and Anna Halberg. It's based on a book by Nicholas Adams called Horoscope, and it opens up in a very cliche way. We get a bunch of college students go away to an old creepy house for a weekend. They start exploring in the house. They find a locked basement. They break into that basement and they find a bunch of kind of what look like pretty cursed objects, and they pull out this really old deck of tarot cards. And one of the members, Haley, is into horoscopes and astrology and palm readings and tarot readings. And so they said, well, okay, why don't you read everyone's tarot thing? And so she goes through everyone, and the cards are really creepy. They're hand painted, and it's a curse movie. Basically, this curses everyone to be killed in the manner of the cards that they pulled, in a very kind of Final Destination way, where their deaths are kind of predicted and they can't really, it's one of those, like, is it fate? Can we avoid fate? And they have to then work together. Some of the friends are killed off, and they then have to work together to try and break the curse and not die themselves. It stars Avantika, who we saw in the 2024 Mean Girls, Jacob Batalon from the recent Spider-Man movies, how far he's fallen from the MCU, and then a bunch of people that I don't know, which is usually how a lot of this smaller horror goes. But it's not too bad. It starts off a little weak, like I said, little cliche, wasn't very scary, but about halfway through, it starts to get better. We get more into the lore and the backstory of how the cars became cursed, and our kills and our scares become more elaborate and a lot more scary by the end of the film. And it's a hot 90 minutes, so it's a quick watch.
I think the horror space is so full of not like direct to stream kind of horror, but like there's a difference, right, between this idea of like elevated horror, something like a Jordan Peele project, right, or maybe even like Scream 5, versus like the Bloomhouse horror, right, like the Camp, the Megan, the Malignant, and those are the good ones, right? You're forgetting the stuff like Fantasy Island that nobody saw. When I watched the trailer for Tarot, it feels like the second one. It doesn't feel like I'm about to watch Talk to Me. It feels like I'm about to watch like 90 minutes, blow right through it, gonna see some good stuff, lots of fun. Is that a good read? And is the movie, I think, self-aware? Do they know that's what they're making, or does it play it pretty straight? Where are we at with this film?
It does kind of take itself seriously, but it opens almost exactly like Cabin in the Woods. Like, it's almost play for play again. They're going away to this secluded house that they've rented. They're exploring the basement they shouldn't be in. They're messing with objects they shouldn't, that clearly look like they're going to curse you. There's even one of the characters is called the Fool, which is famously used in A Cabin in the Woods as well. So I was kind of rolling my eyes at the setup, but it eventually does really get into the lore of it. And I think that's the part that works, because you have the fool, the hanged man, the cursed priestess, the magician, death itself, and you have kind of personifications of these that come in and kill, and the kills kind of get gruesome and more involved the longer the movie goes. So it's not super scary, but it does get more and more kind of creepy by the end.
I was going to say, I think in the trailer I counted like 4 villains that you spot. And I was reminded watching the trailer, because I haven't seen the film, of like the first It trailer, where you know that Pennywise the clown is kind of the big bad, but all these kids have their own visions of fear that kind of haunt them, right? So everybody's got kind of their own antagonist that's chasing them down. I would assume that's related to our tarot cards. How do those kills come off? Particularly gruesome, gory? I mean, scary? Are you getting jump scared the whole time? What are you looking at here? What kind of horror
There
is it?
are there are a lot of jump scares. Most of them are not scary. It does do better the longer it goes, for sure, because it takes more time and it does get creepier. It's light on gore. A lot of it is very implied. Like you'll see, like, a lot the violence will happen off screen, and you'll just see like a splatter of blood across someone's face, that kind of thing. It doesn't get too gruesome. It's more like kind of Are You Afraid of the Dark, like sitting there, because they're around the candlelit table with the cards, and at one point they have to go find some old witch that knows about the cards and how to destroy the curse and how to destroy them. That that whole thing. So it's that kind of movie.
Well, it's funny you say candlelit table because I wanted to ask about the lighting. I don't know if that's something you paid particular attention to, but when the trailer's dark, and I don't just mean dark in the way of like, oh, they're hiding CGI back there dark. I mean, it's a lot of like candlelight and a lot of like particular point lighting. And that's kind of interesting. You don't always see that. I'm reminded of like Haunting in Venice dark, like just a dark looking movie, right? Lots of candlelight, lots of natural light. Good vibe, hard to see. Where do you land on that?
Yeah, I would say so. It is that kind of dark film. Lots of like, oh, what lurks in the shadows. It's a kind of movie for like teenagers that haven't seen a lot of horror and won't recognize all these tropes and cliches from from other movies and in horror. So that's what I mean. Like it doesn't get too scary. It doesn't get too gruesome. It's not looking to totally gross out the audience. And it's also, it doesn't take like, there's some weak themes of like fate versus free will, self-determination, can we escape our fate, blah blah. It doesn't, I'm sure the novel gets into those themes a lot more. The movie doesn't, but it does kind of mention that at some point.
One more question for you before we move to final recommendations. The last time I remember you watching like a smaller horror that I hadn't seen that maybe hadn't got as much attention, you really praised it, and that was Rebecca Hall in The Night House. You were like, that movie rocked. You told me still I should go back and watch that movie. Does this hold a candle to what's going on there, and would you still recommend The Night House? And then ultimately, do you recommend Tarot?
I would still recommend The Night House for sure. That movie, it really creeped me out. It got me with a really good jump scare. I'm still mad about it because I pride myself on not really ever being surprised by jump scares, but it really got me good. And that movie also has some kind of more mature themes as well. As far as Tarot goes, if you're a big fan of horror and you're looking for something to watch this weekend that's not The Strangers, check it out. It's probably better save it for streaming. Watch it with your friends in Halloween or when it's available to stream in a couple of months. Like I said, it's got a ton of horror cliches, but it kind of gets a lot more interesting by the end, does more with its premise. It's doing well financially, so we may see another one of these. Who knows?
I know I did want to ask if it sets up for a sequel, but we're not a spoiler show. It's not what we do. Just straight reviews. Well,
I will say this because this isn't a spoiler, but a lot of horror movies is like you by the end you've defeated the evil, lifted the curse, whatever, and then usually in like the last 60 seconds there's like a hint that, oh no, you didn't actually defeat the thing and you didn't actually lift the curse. It's still there or it's coming back for the sequel. This movie doesn't do that. I was totally waiting for that. Like
it doesn't do that.
It does not do.
Wow.
Yeah, right. I was totally waiting for that. Oh, like you didn't actually overcome the curse. You didn't actually lift it, and it doesn't. I was like, oh, it's because it has every other cliche, horror cliche, but it doesn't do that one.
Yeah, a lot of cards in that tarot deck, right? It'd be real easy to pull a few more for a sequel.
Yeah.
That's Off Script episode 252. Good Lord, Andy, a triple feature. And one of our longest episodes of recent memory, squeezing 3 in. Not too shabby. What are we watching next week?
So next week we're going to be watching I Saw the TV Glow, which is an indie film that we've heard a lot about. It looks really weird, bizarre. I have no idea what it's actually about. It's been kind of described as a lot of different things, kind of horror, kind of other things. We're excited to see that and talk about it. And then we're going to be seeing what else is playing on streaming. Just some FYI releases. The kids film If, which stands for Imaginary Friends, produced by John Krasinski and written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, is out this Friday, May 17th. If you need something to take the kids. Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse music biopic, is also out this week. We are probably going to skip that because we've heard a lot of kind of mediocre things. And also for horror fans, The Strangers Chapter 1 is also out this Friday.
All right, might be able to squeeze in a double theatrical somewhere. Excited to watch TV Glow. Skeptical about If, but I've liked Krasinski's previous work, so it might be good. And then, Back to Black and Strangers. I have not heard any heat for those pictures. I've heard people be like, sigh, so we'll see. We'll end up watching something. Keep it on Off Script for more. The easiest way, you can see what we watch in episode 253 of the show next week, is to subscribe to the podcast, of course, wherever you're listening and or watching it right now, wherever you're at. There's some kind of follow or subscribe button, maybe below the screen or over to the side, or if you're on your phone, you can whip open a thing or whatever. There's a way to follow us, and you should do it. It supports the show, helps us out. It's a good time. Come join us in our journey of watching movies and talking about them. We like doing it, and we love talking about them with you. You can follow us on all the usual social media stuff, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can comment on our stuff. You can check out our YouTube page. Big things going on YouTube. Big things going on over there. You should go check out the individual reviews and the shorts, and you can. Of course, we're on all the usual audio platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartMedia. You can follow us there. You can rate and review if you like. Just drop a 5-star if you can, please, for me, for Zach on the podcast. I'd appreciate it. And, of course, you can check out our website, offscriptfilmreview.com, and you can leave us correspondence directly at mail@offscriptfilmreview.com. From all of us at Offscript, the home of Bold Cinema, I'm Zach Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Draper.
Thanks for watching.